If you've just clicked on this video after it's been posted, as always, secretly, you're my favorite. The reason is because apparently not as many people watch the live streams after they're posted, which I find kind of rude, but you know, it is what it is. There's a lot of content to watch online, so, I mean, and right now a lot of people want to necessarily be engaging with politics because it's so crazy. But I appreciate every single one of you. Hold on just a second, let me take a sip of water. Hello! Good morning, beautiful people. Oh, someone said good morning, handsome. Thank you. I needed that today. How's everyone doing? Oh my God, y'all. It's gonna get crazy today. It's gonna get wild. So I'm gonna take a deep breath here and then we're going to officially start, okay? Whew. All right. Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So, in an absence to Bad Bunny, that's not the right word. In a shift, I don't even know if that's the right word. It is a shift, but like, in a segue, that's the word I want. In a segue from talking about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl performance and all of that chaotic craziness, I don't like this part that's in the middle of my hair. I find that really rude. That all being said, in a segue from talking about that, okay, it's really starting to annoy me now. Hold on. Stand by while I go get a comb because this is really annoying me. This is real authentic journalism right here. I gotta look cute, okay? There we go. Fixed. Got my trusty comb. We're good. Kinty's add me to the text group. Ooh, girl, I will. So, okay. Now we're fully, it's coming back, I swear to God. Okay. So here we go. Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So in a segue from talking about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl performance that apparently upset all of conservative America because it was sung in Spanish by a Puerto Rican American, so we're going to be talking about the Epstein Files today. And according to Jamie Raskin, who I believe is he's the top House Democrat on the House Oversight Committee in regards to looking into the Epstein Files, according to him, primary reporting is coming out that you search the unredacted Epstein Files and it has Trump's name more than 1 million times. Now, this has not been proven. I want to put an asterisk, a big asterisk right there. This has not been absolutely proven, though we will see if this holds up. So we'll be talking all about that. Please make sure to send some likes and let's get the stream started here. All right. So top House Democrat who viewed the unredacted Epstein Files claimed Trump's name appears more than 1 million times. Of course, President Donald Trump is back in the news with one of the most powerful men in the world being linked to Jeffrey Epstein. It's no secret that the current president of the United States was friends with the shamed financier, with the pair reportedly being close when they lived next to each other in the 1980s. While Donald Trump has continued to distance himself from the child sex offender, serial rapist, and human trafficker, the former COO of Trump Plaza and Casino once said that Jeffrey Epstein was POTUS's, quote, best friend. Now, the Trump administration has repeatedly come under fire for its handling of the Epstein Files, with the president pulling a U-turn on the release of and the Department of Justice still being accused of holding back materials relating to the president. There was embarrassment when it looked like people could unredact the swaths of redacted materials, and now one top Democrat has thrown more fuel onto the fire by claiming Trump appears more than 1 million times in the files. So, big hefty claim to be pointing out there. Breaking, Congressman Jamie Raskin says Trump's name shows up in the unredacted Epstein files more than 1 million times. And it was 38,000 in the redacted files. That would be huge if this holds up. And also another thing, I'll talk about this. This isn't pure fact. This is from a primary investigation into it. This isn't like been proven as fact. It's not like, 2020 Joe Biden won, that's just a fact. Or 2024 Trump won, that's a fact. So this is something that is still, there's a big asterisk on here, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But let's continue onward here. So as of February 10th, that's yesterday, okay? As of February 10th, 2026, members of the U.S. Congress have been reviewing unredacted versions of the Jeffrey Epstein files at the Department of Justice, following intense criticism over heavy redactions in the millions of pages previously released. So this is very new. So the Department of Justice recently just said, all right, Congress, fine, you've made a big enough stink. We will give you the means to look through the Epstein files unredacted. And they're like, thank God, that's what we've been wanting this whole time. So we'll talk about that also having a big asterisk. But continuing on here, so as of February 10th, members of the United States Congress have begun reviewing unredacted versions of the Epstein files at the Department of Justice, following intense criticism over heavy redactions in the millions of pages previously released. So only yesterday did all of members of Congress get these versions of the unredacted Epstein files. So this is all still very fresh. Lawmakers have accused the DOJ of improperly hiding the names of elite powerful men and failing to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Continuing onward with this here, this is what previous releases showed. Look, 119 pages redacted of the Epstein files. This is not a joke. And someone put this on Twitter this morning, or I saw it on Twitter this morning, and I thought it was funny. Obviously, this is a scene from Home Alone 2, and it has Trump and Macaulay Culkin as Kevin, and it's just Trump redacted. I had to put that in there because that made me laugh. So here's the current situation regarding the unredacted files themselves. So, following bipartisan pressure, the Department of Justice, DOJ, allowed members of Congress to view the unredacted documents, including approximately 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images starting February 9th of 2026. So that was 2 days ago. That's huge. That's huge. So, first off, 2,000 videos? Ooh. I would be very, very intrigued to learn what's in those files, but no wonder Pam Bondi was suffering from problems with her eyes in late 2025. It was reported that our Attorney General Pam Bondi was having issues with her eyes, her cornea and stuff like that. She had to watch all this Epstein footage, all this Epstein crap, and she's like, yeah, I need surgery. I need some help with my cornea. I can understand. Anyway, but that's a lot of images too. Anyway, so key findings by lawmakers, Representative Thomas Massey and Representative Ro Khanna, one Republican, one Democrat, who reviewed the files, stated they identified at least 6 men whose names were redacted, but who appeared to be implicated in the documents. They note these individuals appeared in mugshot-style photos of 20 people. We'll talk about who those 6 people are, and we'll be breaking all of that down. Continuing onward here, so on Monday, the DOJ allowed lawmakers, including Khanna and Massey, to review the unredacted files in the investigation. Lawmakers were allowed to view the files on just 4 computers at the Department of Justice satellite office, and were only allowed to take written notes of what they saw. Let me say that again. So the Department of Justice is like, fine. You can look at the unredacted Epstein files, but we're only going to give you 4 computers. You can't take any screenshots. You can't send anything to your email. You can't download anything. You can't screen record. You can't save an image and post it. No, you can only take handwritten notes on a legal pad. Those are our conditions. Excuse me? So the Department of Justice finally was like, fine, but you need a yellow legal pad and a nice pen because you're going to be taking down a lot of notes. What the fuck? Like, hold on. So you're like, oh, we're being transparent. Yeah, transparent. Like, that's like trying to sift through every single word in the Bible and like, but just taking down like one notepad. Like, girl, that is not how that is gonna work. So some lawmakers said the access was insufficient. Insufficient? That's saying it genteelly. Insufficient. The Department of Justice is giving members of Congress just 4 computers and a satellite office to read the unredacted Epstein Files of more than 3 million documents. Representative Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland, top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, wrote in a post on X, it would take more than 7 years, for the 217 members of Congress who signed the House discharge petition to read the documents they've decided to release. What the hell? So they're like, fine, we'll show you, but we're gonna make it incredibly limited. That's so stupid. So this is what Jamie Raskin was saying. DOJ is giving members of Congress just 4 computers and a satellite office to read the unredacted Epstein Files for more than 3 million documents, working 40 hours a week on nothing else but this. It would take more than, I read that wrong. Working 40 hours a week on nothing else but this, it would take more than 7 years for the 217 members of Congress who signed the House discharge petition to just read the documents, not even report, analyze, break things down, and there's still 3 million being withheld. Like, what? I just, ugh. And so this account, White House X-Ray, was like, giving 4 computers to review 3.5 million Epstein pages. At 1 page per minute, 217 members face 7 years. Meanwhile, 3 million docs hidden. I don't know what that word is supposed to be. Entombment, not disclosure. The swamp wasn't drained. Trump built a levee to protect his allies. That is very, very fair and accurate. And there was another member of Congress that basically said, was just at the DOJ for DOJ 3X the past 2 days looking at unredacted Epstein files. Quote, number 1, the search function didn't actually work. Number 2, half the stuff I was looking for was still redacted. Number 3, we couldn't write on the files we brought in or even use post-it notes, just notes on a legal pad. Number 4, we shared just 4 computers for the 435 members of Congress. Number 5, they were keeping a history of all the files we were reviewing. So much for transparency. Like, huh? That's just crazy. That is so crazy. Just imagine you have all these members of Congress surrounding just 4 computers, all with their own legal pad, trying to write down what's in the Epstein files. This is just corruption on steroids, y'all. They finally were like, okay, we'll share what's in it, or we'll give you access to seeing, but you're only gonna be able to use. That's like trying to. Here, this might be a weird metaphor. It's like giving 1 pair of binoculars to 435 people. 4 pairs of binoculars to 435 people, trying to read documents in the distance. Like read something way out far in the distance written on a mountain. You're like, oh, well, I'm not, saying that you can't see it. Yeah, but you're not giving the means and the access for us to actually learn more about it. That's like that's like the commercials, when they will have a commercial and they'll write in the super, super fine small print and they'll only have it on the screen for like 5 seconds and then it goes away and they're like, well, we gave you a chance to read it. Yeah, okay, you put it out there, but like, did you actually give someone the means and the access to fully read it, time to process it, everything? No. So they're just being cryptic and corrupt about all of it. And see, that's what they have to do. They're like, they don't want us to look closely because otherwise we're going to see things, report on it, and it's going to show how much crooks they are. I don't know how else to bring that up. Continuing on, so some of the key findings by lawmakers, Representative Thomas Massey and Representative Khanna, who reviewed the files, stated they identified at least 6 men whose names were redacted, but who appear to be implicated in the documents. They noted those individuals appeared in mug-style shot photos of 20 people. Lawmakers, including Representative Jamie Raskin, accused the DOJ of a cover-up for redacting names of potential abusers while failing to adequately protect the identities of some victims. And of course, the DOJ, Department of Justice response has been Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has defended the DOJ's actions, saying they are committed to transparency and that some redactions were necessary to protect victim information. If you ask the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's whole thing, you ask the people who are advocating for the release of these files, they're way less concerned about protecting victims. That's just a cop-out for you to then shield yourself from corruption. That's like you advocating to kind of keep things redacted so that you can hide things that you don't want to be revealed. It's a cop-out. It really is. However, the Department of Justice did unredact some names following the complaints, including those of Les Wexner, Leslie Groff, and John Luke Burnell. Names identified, Representative Khanna indicated he would read the names of 6 previously redacted wealthy and powerful men on the House floor using constitutional immunity if the DOJ did not release them. And we'll talk a little bit about who those 6 people are. Let me just get to some people's comments on this. We the people have had enough. Well said, mic drop, no notes. And this person said, hey, Jamie Raskin, you should appoint an independent review committee with trauma specialists. Not a bad idea. This person said, if it takes 1,000 FBI agents to redact your name from the Epstein Files, then you are also a PEDO. Just saying. Also, I really think that artists have another role to play when it comes to political communication because I really love pictures like this. So, of course, you can see the Epstein Files cover-up. It just has a whole bunch of... This picture speaks 1,000 words. It's so haphazard with it. And when you look closely, you'll see things like billionaires. I believe that is a bra. Andrew, I think that's Tish. I think it's going to be Prince Andrew. I don't know last name Tish. I think that is someone a part of it. But then you can see Musk. There's Clinton. I think this yellow hair is referring to Trump or maybe like the red tie. So you can see it's very haphazard. And all of that being said, continuing onward. Oh, I already shared that. Hold on just a second. What's also interesting is when you are breaking down these Epstein files, the King James Bible has 783,137 words. What's interesting is that means that Trump's name has appeared more times in the Epstein files, if Jamie Raskin's assertion is correct, than there are words in the Bible. So, yeah, that's pretty damning. So, continuing onward with all of that, from 38,000 to over 1 million mentions after unredacting, that means 96% of references to Trump were deliberately hidden. Whatever the context of those mentions, the scale of the redaction alone is the story. And that's also another thing. Like, why would you redact something? why does the Department of Justice, why are they going through and redacting so much information? Why are they going through and doing that? Period. You don't really redact something unless you have something to hide. So the fact that if this is true, that Trump's name has appeared 1 million times, when you do the math, if I'm just going to trust this math here, that's a lot. That is a lot. That means that 96% of references to Trump are deliberately hidden. That's crazy. That's crazy. Alongside that information, with all of that, the White House has shared posts by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche of accusing Representative Thomas Massie of sensationalizing revelations from the unredacted files, in particular naming Bath and Body Works Incorporated co-founder Les Wexner as a co-conspirator. This is us segueing into us talking about more people who have been revealed in these Epstein files. And if you're appreciating the live, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. Wexner was Epstein's financial manager from 1987 to 2007, with Todd Blanche saying his name already appears in the files thousands of times. Now, for those of you who do not know, we'll talk about who Les Wexner, you can see my, what is it called? Dyslexia on full display here. Following the accusation of improper redactions, lawmakers have been given access to the full files, with the judiciary members being the first allowed to take a look. And of course, we talked about how it's not being actual access. They're getting access to it, but not full, easy access to it. So let me give you the names of some of the people who have been revealed as new names in the Epstein files. So who are the 6 men in the redacted Epstein files? So number 1 is Les Wexner. Does anyone know who this guy is? Les Wexner was the founder. He was the founder of Victoria's Secret, and he also, or one of the founders, also one of the founders of Bath and Body Works and Abercrombie and Fitch. What's really interesting with all of that is you're telling me that Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, Abercrombie and Fitch are kind of somewhat all the same company, if I'm not mistaken on that. That's wild. So the 88-year-old Wexner, who established a retail empire that includes Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, and Bath and Body Works, maintained a lengthy financial relationship with Epstein, who handles his investments for many years. If we actually do the math correctly, that means he was Epstein's financial manager from 1987 to 2007. That's 20 years. That's 20 years. Being the person, Epstein's financial manager, I mean, that means that Les Wexner was the guy who was at the core of all of the transactions that happened when people would pay for services. That's crazy. So, wow. We'll get into all of that there more in a minute. But so Les Wexner is one of those names. This is the guy. He looks like a little gremlin, bless his heart. And you can see American businessman, former CEO of Victoria's Secret. He also, I think, is he's also what was that? Oh, there's the spouse and stuff like that. But he also apparently has a huge sprawling retail empire. In a lengthy investigation from the New York Times in November, Wexner is attributed as the person who launched Epstein's financial status from millionaire to plutocrat. Aside from the money, his greatest value to Epstein was that he imbued him with new credibility and credentials, the reporters wrote. Though Wexner's ties to Epstein were already publicly known, and his name had surfaced in previous releases, it's now been revealed that he appears to have been labeled a co-conspirator with with Epstein by the FBI, though he faces no criminal charges in connection with Epstein's offenses. What do you mean? Like, ooh, there needs to be more adequate investigation of all of that. So we'll get into that. Number 2, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, my mistake. So this is another guy that has appeared in the unredacted Epstein Files. This is him. He's the CEO of DP World. I don't know what that is. So the Dubai-based businessman leads DP World, a multinational ports and logistics enterprise with operations spanning more than 80 countries. He's also the brother of Mohammed bin Salem, the head of the FIA, which governs the world's motorsport championships, including Formula One. Recently disclosed documents reveal that Sultan Ahmed bin Salem emailed Epstein in 2015 that he met a girl, quote, 2 years ago that went to an American university in Dubai. It was quote, the best sex I ever had, amazing body. She got engaged, but now she is back with me, according to him. Okay, wow, all right. This also was just wild. Massey also said, since the names were unredacted, it appears the Justice Department confirmed that Sulayem was the recipient of an email from Epstein in which he said, quote, I loved the torture video. No, you are not mishearing me. That's wild. I don't even want to know what torture video that was. Good God. Number 3, Nicholas Caputo. A man by the name of Nicholas Caputo is an Italian politician who represented his country in the European Parliament between 2014 and 2019 before taking a senior position in Campania's regional administration. I don't know what Campania, what that means, but no verified evidence confirms this individual is mentioned in the officially released documents, and established news organizations have not corroborated any link between him and the files. How is it even possible? How are you writing? Okay, pause here. Hold on. How are you saying, who are the 6 men in the unredacted Epstein files? And then you write an article and then say, but no verified evidence confirms this individual is mentioned in the officially released Epstein documents, and established news organizations have not corroborated any link between him and the files. Okay, pause here for a second. I read that when I was doing my research this morning, but it didn't officially hit me until now. Wait a minute. Why are you then saying that this guy is a part of the files? Huh? Like, how are you going through and saying that there's no official corroborated link between him and the files, but then you have a headline that says that? Am I crazy? Am I crazy or am I just missing something? Am I having a blonde moment? Huh? What do you mean? Anyway, that's him. Just to put it all out there. And here are 3 other names: Salvatore Nuara, Zurab Mikel Adizi, and then Leonik Leonov. And all of them, it says, it is not yet known who this person is and how they are connected to Epstein. But apparently those are unredacted names, a part of the Epstein files that have been released. So, anyway, segueing. Also, I want to put out a little message real quick. I see some chatter going on in the comments here. I want to make it very, very clear that my moderators do an amazing job keeping the space civil. And I don't like any unwarranted, very pointed criticisms. Or I shouldn't say, we allow criticism, but personal attacks are just not cool. So I want to say, if there are people out there who are personally attacking my moderators, claiming that somehow they are somehow not doing their job great, that's my responsibility to share. You have the freedom of speech to say what you want, but I'll say, hey, don't be unduly rude to my mods because they filter out a lot of crap on the daily basis when it comes to my live streams. I understand you can criticize, I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm gonna say, do you really need to be intense in that way? Just putting it all out there. I saw one comment earlier, and I really don't like to read the comments during my live stream because it's distracting and it takes away from my coverage of what we're talking about. But I want to address this. Don't personally attack my mods. You're of course allowed to criticize. We have freedom of speech in this country. I'm not going to say that you can't say things. But don't somehow claim that they're not doing a good job. That's up for me to decide. Just saying. They also have to filter out so much crap all the time. And a lot of my mods do this on a daily basis. So I just want to make that kind of clear. I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. I think we all have a shared concern for keeping the live a really, really good space for people. Let's just not do that. Am I completely off base? In that sense, because I saw there was one comment earlier and I was like, okay. So someone was like, Scott, your mod should have the balls to remove people. I was like, excuse me? Like, do you not understand what they do on a daily basis? Anyway, you're doing great work, Scott, but you need your mods to have some balls. What? Yeah, well, they are removing them. So anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. Also, there's sometimes just a lot of people in here and they can't immediately get to everyone right away. And also sometimes when moderators are going about their lives, they are doing this as a service just for me and for the live stream while they're also trying to maybe get ready in the morning, get things in order. So give people a little bit of slack and a little bit of patience. Just saying. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's move on to another aspect here, all right? So for those of you who do not know, and actually right before I do that, are y'all on the same page? Like, if you understand what I'm saying, just say yes in the chat. I don't know if somehow that was completely off base. I don't think it was, but if you understand what I'm saying or you recognize like that all just happened, just type yes. Just type yes in the chat. I want to make sure that I'm not crazy. Like, do you all know what I'm talking about? Just type yes in the chat. Yeah, it's also hard to mod and listen to Scott. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, okay, cool. I haven't seen anyone attack mod's side to hear that you don't really read comments. I know, it's so hard because sometimes the comments are just coming in so fast and it distracts from my reporting, but then a lot of times these comments are really, really negative and they completely derail the live stream. I really want to read positive comments, but then sometimes they're just littered with a whole bunch of rude, awful, mean people that are just being obnoxious. I want to read them. I have this love-hate relationship with comments on my live streams, and I'm being completely transparent about this. I'm not going to try to hide away from it. I really want to read positive comments. I really do. But then sometimes when I'm doing my live streams, and this is all just family business, when I am reading and doing my live streams, sometimes I want to read out comments, but then there are people that are obviously trying to provoke and be rude and be nasty and just be obnoxious. It derails me from what I'm talking about, but then also it doesn't do the live any good because what they're trying to do is turn facts or objective information as somehow it's up for debate. But then I'm like, but I want to read the positive comments from people because it means a lot. We're fostering community. So in fairness, I have this love-hate relationship when it comes to comments on my channel. And I'm not going to shy away from that's something that happens. So it sucks because I want to read positive comments from people. Then often they're just littered with a whole bunch of comments from other people. And my moderators don't always have the means to be able to get rid of all of those bots and antagonizers as quickly. I am not some high-profile content creator on YouTube. I don't have the means to be able to do that as quickly. So just putting it all out there, yeah, I just wanted to share all of that. And I appreciate my moderators in here. You know, Kentisa, you're amazing. And Akicha, you're awesome. Kate, I don't know if they're in here today, but anyway, continuing onward here, y'all are amazing. So um, another thing I want to talk about here is Becca Balint. Do people know who that is? She is a lawmaker from Vermont, a Democratic congresswoman. Vermont actually is an interesting state for those people who do not know. And Vermont has 2 senators, 1 representative. Also similar with Wyoming. Wyoming has 2 senators, 1 representative. What's interesting is, of course, your House of Representatives are apportioned by population. Kate, hello! Your House of Representatives are apportioned by population. Your senators are 2 senators per state. Vermont and Wyoming are interesting because they actually have more representation in the Senate than they do in the House. But that's also because, again, it's 2 senators per state, but then the House is based on population. So the way that our government is structured is there is a heavier representation of Vermont and Wyoming in the Senate compared to the House. Anyway, that all being said, Becca Balint is the representative from Vermont. And I personally really, really like her. And she was interviewed by someone, was this yesterday or the day before? And this is her looking up in kind of a funny way. And basically this reporter says, hey, what have you been able to see in the Epstein Files? And she basically said, yeah, they're just a bunch of sick, and then expletive. So many people knew. And that's another thing. It's not even just her. So Ed Krasenstein says, wow, Becca Balint confirmed that she saw in the unredacted files that Trump never kicked out Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. That's a lie. So not only is Trump lying about the DOJ had redacted this information in the public release, the cover-up just keeps getting worse and worse for Donald Trump. And it's not even just her. Also, Lucas was like, hey, so many people knew is the line that should haunt everyone. This wasn't a secret operation that slipped through the cracks. It was an open one that people at every level chose to look away from. And it's not even just her. I don't give credit to Lauren Boebert very often. There are a lot of things that she has done and said that I find awful and blasphemous. Period. End of story. There's also a point where I will give credit where credit is due. And criticism where very much it is warranted. So you see U.S. Representative Lauren Boebert was filmed leaving the Department of Justice reading room after reviewing unredacted Epstein files. She states that many of the redactions are not victims and that Ghislaine Maxwell should have more prison time and that it's absolutely disgusting. The fact that it's even Lauren Boebert coming forward and saying that, I'm like, ooh, yeah. Trump's cooked. Trump's cooked, you know? he's real cooked. Anyway, so that all being said, I do want to give credit to them for all of this. Good for you, Lauren Boebert and Anna Paulina Luna and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. I oppose all 3 of you on almost everything, but not this. And it's good to see you stand up. I'm glad to see conservative women standing up. And I will give credit where it's due. Now, I also found this really, really funny. When somebody who gives public HANDJOBS is disgusted, you know there's some bad MF crap in there. So I thought that was funny. And of course, a lot of people will say, look, you know, she voted for this. She did. Glad she's flipping, though. Credit where it's due. So anyway, that is just kind of an update about what has all happened within the last 2 days in regards to the Epstein files. I know today's live has been kind of all over the place. One of my biggest problems as a content creator, and this is my own thing to work through, is I'm trying to remove as many filler words as possible and also be more organized in the way that I communicate on here. I know that sometimes it's hard to listen to me. I will repeat things. I'll be a little bit scatterbrained all over the place. I know. Sometimes it's a lot to try and sift through. It's a lot trying to face it, and it's maddening. Something I'm working on is making it easier to break all of it down and also communicate all of that. And I'm only human. You know, it's hard to post my live streams after listening to myself go over and over, I'm like, oh my God, I sound so haphazard. Does anyone do that where you'll film yourself and then you watch it back and you're like, ugh. It happens to me quite a lot when it comes to my live streams. I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that anyone listens to this. But that all being said, I'm working on trying to be more eloquent, organized, not saying and if, but like those filler words as much, and being more organized in the way that I lay out my content. To those of you who are here, support me, what I do, it means a lot. And I think that there's an element of not necessarily performance anxiety, but I'm not as sharp and eloquent as a speaker. I don't think it's necessarily a speech impediment, but I'm still working on it. Is anyone else in the same boat when it comes to maybe public speaking or doing presentations of some kind at work, anything like that? I'm currently working through all of this, and I appreciate every single one of you that is a part of all of that. I might do a quick little summary of everything before I end the live stream, but I'm going to take a sip of water first. Anyway, all right. Do I even read the comments here? We know that you can't read comments. We love and respect you. Thank you for saying that. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with the comment section. And if I wasn't a transparent person, I wouldn't share that. I wouldn't share that. And it's this way with a lot of creators too, especially if they do progressive news, journalism, commentary. When you are a creator and you're doing these live streams, you have something prepared and you are reading, analyzing, all of that. There are hecklers. It's a lot like heckling. And to all the people, when you're commenting something, there are a lot of people who are hecklers. Those are meant to distract. And I want to embrace the loving comments that are also there. But the more that I focus on reading out even positive comments, it distracts me from what I'm doing. That's why maybe in the future I should do here's just the segment, now I'm going to read comments. But then when that happens, sometimes the comment section is littered by a whole bunch of antagonizers. You've been in a TikTok live stream or YouTube live stream, Instagram live stream, where 90% of the comments are taken up by only 9 people. You know the kinds of live streams I'm talking about. Sometimes those 9 people are bots. Sometimes those 9 people are just really loudmouth, angry people with a megaphone. And that's why sometimes the internet isn't always representative of the population at large. Especially when you have groups of people that are programming a tremendous amount of bots to then spam and put out content into the ether. I really enjoy the way you do your stream. Oh, thank you, Stan Durko. Just be yourself. That's why we are here with you. Aww. I really needed to hear that. So, anyway, why in the world is my music gone? Okay. So I'm probably going to do a quick little summary, and then we are going to end the live stream here. All right, because I have a couple extra minutes today compared to yesterday. So I'm going to take a mental note, 45 minutes. I've been live for 45 minutes, so that's when I download this and put it into video editing software for clips. That's when I know. All right. Let me go back in my camera roll and we will officially recover everything. So, you came here for a summary of what is happening in regards to today's news on the Epstein Files. Here is the summary that you need to know. Top House Democrat Jamie Raskin, who is the top House Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, has now claimed that Trump has been mentioned more than 1 million times in the unredacted Epstein Files. That is a heck of a lot. That is a heck of a lot. That means that Trump's name is mentioned more times in the Epstein Files than there are words in the Bible. That is crazy. All right, continuing onward here, millions of files are still supposedly being held back. This is a claim. This is not proven yet, and we will see if this holds up as time progresses. President Donald Trump, of course, is back in the news with one of the most powerful men in the world being, again, linked to Jeffrey Epstein. It's no secret that the current president of the United States was friends with the shamed financier, with the pair reportedly being close when they lived next to each other in the 1980s. While Donald Trump has continued to distance himself from the child sex offender, serial rapist, and human trafficker, the former COO of Trump Plaza and Casino once said that Epstein was POTUS's best friend. Ew, gotta get better friends than Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein. Like, both of them suck. So, as of February 10th, members of the US Congress have begun reviewing unredacted versions of the Jeffrey Epstein files at the Department of Justice following intense criticism over heavy redactions in the millions of pages previously released. Lawmakers have accused the Department of Justice of improperly hiding the names of elite and powerful men and failing to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Of course, they are nefariously doing shit, okay? Continuing on. So here's the current situation. Following bipartisan pressure, the Department of Justice allowed members of Congress to view unredacted documents, including approximately 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images starting February 9th. 2,000 videos. 2,000 videos in the Epstein Files. Oh my God, my hair is parting again in that weird way. I hate it, okay? I hate it. Why is it doing that? 2,000 videos, 180,000 images. That's a lot to sift through. Now, what makes this whole situation even more blasphemous in regards to analyzing and sifting through all this stuff is, according to Democrats Jamie Raskin, the Department of Justice is giving members of Congress just only 4 computers and a satellite office to read the unredacted Epstein files for more than 3 million documents. Now, when you break that down, 40 hours a week working on nothing but this, it would take more than 7 years for the 217 members who signed the discharge petition to just read the documents they've decided to release. And there are still 3 million being withheld. It's one thing to finally disclose or give someone access to something, to read or analyze it. It's another thing to give them the means for analyzing, for actually recognizing. You can claim that you're being transparent by giving 4 binoculars to 217 people to then read a whole bunch of words engraved on a mountain. You can say, well, I'm not hiding anything. No, you're not technically hiding it because you're giving someone the ability to look at it, but you're not meeting the scope that is necessary in order to actually live up to full transparency. Now, of course, that is reliant upon the Department of Justice caring about transparency or the means to promote full transparency, which are just powerful words, rhetoric, and jargon they use to try and cover their ass, which they're not even doing a good job at that. You get my gist. Now, on Monday, the DOJ allowed lawmakers, including Khanna and Massey, to review unredacted files in the investigations. Lawmakers were allowed to view the files on just 4 computers at the DOJ satellite office and were only allowed to take written notes of what they saw. So the Department of Justice said, yeah, we'll give you 4 computers to look at all of this, to all of these documents, unredacted. But when you are a journalist and you are trying to look through everything, take notes, all of that, it's very normal for you to want to send documents to yourself so you can read it later on. Maybe take a screenshot, maybe save PNG files or pictures, or send yourself a video, do a screen recording, send a link to it so you can access it later. If you're only allowed to take written notes on a legal pad, that's pretty cheap. You can say, oh, well, I'm not refusing access. Yeah, but you're not giving someone the scope and the means to fully understand and analyze everything, which is just prime trolling. So what the Department of Justice is doing is they're like, oh, we're giving people the access to looking at it. Yeah, but not real access, not to the scope that is needed for us to have justice for the American people and the victims. It's crazy. This is ludicrous. It's ludicrous is what it is. Continuing onward, also key findings by the lawmakers, Thomas Massey and Representative Rokana reviewed the files, stated that they identified at least 6 men whose names were redacted but appeared to be implicated in the documents. That's interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but let me continue onward with this here. Another representative was just at the Department of Justice for the past 2 days, looking at the unredacted Epstein files. Number 1, according to this lawmaker, the search function didn't actually work. Half the stuff I was looking at was still redacted, and we couldn't write on the files we brought in or even use Post-it notes. We just had notes on a legal pad. We shared 4 computers for 435 members of Congress. They were keeping a history of all the files that we were viewing. Imagine 435 people hovering around just 4 laptops with legal pads in their laps, trying to take notes, read all of it all at once. That's what this Department of Justice is doing. You say, oh, well, they're not hiding the Epstein files. Yeah, they are. That's like trying, you know when you go to the eye doctor and they have that little chart all the way back there? That chart all the way back there that has the letters, I don't know what they call that, where you have like the big letters and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's like asking 435 people to read the tiny little print, all standing at one specific location, but only giving them like a little bit of time to even do that. You can say, oh, well, you're not hiding anything. Yeah, but you're not giving someone the scope. That's the word, the scope of access that is needed for transparency. Anyway, continuing onward, I like this picture because it really shows political commentary around what is happening. You can see the Epstein files being covered up very haphazardly with things like billionaires, Musk or Clinton, Trump, Andrew, Prince Andrew. There's even a bra. I think there's panties over there. All of it is being very haphazardly covered up. And I think that really speaks to what we're seeing. There's, again, promised transparency, of course, 3.5 million Epstein pages at 1 page per minute, 217 members face 7 years to read all of those files. It's not disclosure. Trump's swamp wasn't drained. He built a levee. He built a levee to protect his own allies. And again, if Trump's name is mentioned 1 million times, then that means that his name is mentioned more times in these Epstein files than there are words in the Bible. So that's interesting. Where's the part that I really wanted to see here? I want to add one. I want to add one big asterisk on all of this. It is not a proven fact yet that Trump's name is mentioned 1 million times in the Epstein files. I want to make that very clear. It is not a proven fact yet. This is a claim from a Democratic lawmaker that I find very plausible, But just because something is plausible doesn't mean that it is a fact. Y'all understand my gist? So a disgruntled Raskin explained the idea that we could get through a meaningful fraction of them is just ridiculous. I mean, there's tons of redacted stuff. In Trump's name, I think I put in his name and it appears more than 1 million times, so it's all over the place. Now, clarifying this, Raskin said that he reiterated that the Mar-a-Lago exchange was one of the first he came across, although he's complained that the DOJ database tool given to members is confusing, unreliable, and clunky. So what Raskin was describing was saying, hey, I just typed in Donald Trump's name, but the search function was even giving me problems, and also it could have been a different Donald. You could have Donald Trump and then Donald someone else, and so he said part of it also being redacted. Who knows if the million claim even adds up? That all being said, I was looking through and researching for this story here, and there were some right-wing trolls that were basically saying, oh, I can't wait to be revealed that he lied. Here's the thing. As a progressive Democrat, if a progressive Democrat of some kind lies or is incorrect about something, guess what? I call it out. I say, hey, that's actually incorrect. I care way more about truth, genuine reporting, facts over any sort of partisan team sports crap. And I think a lot of Americans, even regardless of their partisanship, truly want to progress to that deep down. I think more one side than the other, because one side has a huge base of people who are in a part of a cult. I don't even need to name that, but I think that people care more about truth than partisanship. I really want to believe that. Who knows if that's actually true? I want to believe that. So the thing is, if there's a claim that has been found to be inaccurate, like Trump's name being mentioned 1 million times, I'm like, oh, okay, good to know. I'll clarify it. Does that all make sense? As for the million claim, Raskin added, in the database, I typed the words Trump, Donald, or Don, and it came up with more than 1 million results. I obviously didn't have the time to review each one, and I cannot guarantee that every mention of Donald is Donald Trump as opposed to another Donald. He referred to the idea of members coming to sit at terminals from 9 to 5 as part of the cover-up, concluding that the supposed 3 million documents yet to be publicly released are the ones he'd like to see. So I hope that kind of clears up some of that. And the last thing on this, or second to last thing on this, is that the more files that are released, the more unredactions we are able to see. Lawmakers are basically saying, hey, there are names that we previously did not know and are still learning more about. And some of these names, some people did know about them. Some names still we need a little bit more clarification upon. One of the big names that's going to be talked about in the next few days is Leslie Wexner. Leslie Wexner is the co-founder, one of the CEO businessmen for Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, and Abercrombie and Fitch. Which, if I'm not mistaken, that means that all of them, I don't think they all have the same parent company, but they all have ties together, which I was like, wow, these monopolies are really getting out of hand. If we found 6 men that were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men there are covering up for in those 3 million files. And there are more names that are coming out day to day in these Epstein files. And it spans the political divide. It spans all different people. Of course, you have Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. And it's funny because there are all these MAGA people that are like, oh my God, why don't you care about Clinton? I'm like, I'm not going to protect him, hold him accountable, put him in the same cell as Trump. I don't care. And again, it's like, just because he's a part of a political party I identify with, that somehow I'm supposed to have a different standard of accountability? Like, are you kidding me? It's crazy. Also, Bill Gates. Apparently, Bill Gates got some STD or STI from someone at Epstein's Island, which is interesting. I should do a whole breakdown of just that story. Elon Musk also being included in there. That's funny. But going back to Leslie or Les Wexner, the 88-year-old Wexner who established a retail empire that includes Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, and Bath and Body Works, maintained a lengthy financial relationship with Epstein, who handles his investments for many years. For those people who did not know, Les Wexner actually was Epstein's financial manager from 1987 to 2007. Meaning that Les Wexner was Epstein's personal financial manager for 20 years. 20 years. I'm wondering, I really want to know more about that guy. This guy. That's a huge thing to be revealed. So, 20 years. In a lengthy investigation, of course, from the New York Times, Wexner is attributed the person who launched Epstein's financial status from millionaire to plutocrat. Aside from the money, his greatest value to Epstein was that he imbued him with new credibility and credentials. Interesting. Another person a part of this is Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the Dubai-based businessman leads DP World, a multinational ports and logistics enterprise with operations spanning more than 80 countries. He is also the brother of Mohammed bin Sulayem, the head of the FIA, which governs the world's motorsport championships, including Formula One. Also recently disclosed documents reveal that Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem emailed Epstein in 2015 that he met a girl 2 years ago that went to an American university and was, quote, the best sex I ever had, amazing body. She got engaged, but now she is back with me. And what's even more haunting with that, and that's him, is apparently Thomas Massey also said that since the names were unredacted, it appears that the Justice Department confirmed that Sulayem was the recipient of an email from Epstein in which Sulayem said, quote, I loved the torture video. Oh my God. Oh my God. And this is only scraping the surface, y'all. Only scraping the surface. Another name that was mentioned in here is Nicola Caputo. We're not quite sure what all of it is in connection to, but a man by the name of Nicola Caputo is an Italian politician who represented his country in the European Parliament between 2014 and 2019 before taking a senior position at Campania's regional administration, but no verified evidence confirms this individual is mentioned in the officially released documents. Which, okay, that I will say this kind of confuses me, is how can you claim that his name is in there, but then you say that there's no verified evidence that confirms this individual is mentioned? Am I crazy, or does that completely contradict each other? I don't get it. Though, there are 3 other names that apparently have been disclosed. And for those people who are like, well, I want to look at the files myself, we don't have the access to them yet. Right now, the unredacted Epstein files are only in the hands of members of Congress, which that only just happened as of February 9th and 10th. And again, the Department of Justice is only allowing members of Congress to view unredacted Epstein files from 4 computers. And no, they can't take any screenshots, they can't send any links, they cannot download any files to review going back. No, the only thing that they're allowing, the Department of Justice, the only thing they are allowing these lawmakers to do is look at 4 computers and take handwritten notes on a yellow legal pad. That's all. So when people like Jamie Raskin, who wants to get information out there about what's happened in the Epstein files, it's basically you have to take him at his word, which sucks. Because as a journalist, you don't want to take anyone at their word. Bro, just trust me, bro, comments coming from journalism is not accurate. Who knows if they are being misled or lying or anything like that. So it adds to the uncertainty, making it hard for journalists even to get factual information out there about any of this. So all of that being said, that is a current update about the Epstein files. We'll be learning more as more time goes on. where members of Congress can look at these unredacted Epstein files, find out new names, find out new scandals, find out new context. And so I will be updating people once I hear more. But I'm gonna skedaddle because I need to get to work. I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators in here. I could not do this live stream without you all. Kantisa, Kate, Akicha, Ellie, you all are amazing. I love all of you so much. And even if you don't like me, or you don't like my content, or you think that somehow I don't do a good job, guess what? I don't hate you. I'm your fellow American. I love you. And I'm going to keep doing what I do because I want to give you all the tools to become your own journalist. Sometimes it's hard to be politically engaged. Sometimes it's exhausting trying to learn and decipher through all of the crap. That's why I call my show Raw and Unfiltered. That's why I call it Raw and Unfiltered, because what I want to do is give you all the information as raw and unfiltered as I can. And if I do offer an opinion, I will give you, of course, the empowerment to disagree with my analysis or my take. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm giving you the tools to think critically and the encouragement to do it with empathy and love, understanding of the context. So, I need to get going. I appreciate every single one of you. You all are amazing. Shout out to my amazing moderators, Kantisa, Akicha. You all are amazing. Kate, I could not do any of this without you all. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!